Overwhelmed with online or just wanting to learn more about how you can build a successful business amidst all of the self-appointed gurus, big buzzwords and empty promises? The Breaking Digital podcast by Doyle Buehler tells you exactly what smart entrepreneurs need to know to escape the clutter, get clear of the confusion, and pass the bullshit of building and growing a successful business online. It's about digital leadership and delivering the best value for your business online to your audience. Now, here's your host and author of the book on digital leadership and online marketing, The Digital Delusion, Doyle Buehler.
All right, hello and welcome to Breaking Digital, the worldwide and only podcast for smart entrepreneurs wanting to become true digital leaders in their industry and to own it online, as I call it. I'm Doyle Buehler, I'm the host, and I'm so excited to be bringing you a special guest today that is Alita, and we'll be talking with her shortly. But first, I'm really looking forward to helping you learn more about what you can be doing online and helping you to do it better. So I want you to help you to become the true digital leader for your industry. If you have any comments throughout the program, please feel free to connect on Twitter at Doyle Buehler with the hashtag own online, or send me an email, doyle@thedigitaldelusion.com. You can also find the resources that we talk about in this special episode of my podcast by going to thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. All right, let's get started. So I'm really super excited to have Alita Harvey-Rodriguez from Milk It Academy out of Melbourne. And Alita is been speaking for quite some time, developing an online academy called Milk It Business Academy. Just a fantastic name about, getting shit done online and basically cutting through the crap and the BS that a lot of us have been seeing. So she's worked on some incredible projects over the years, some big brands that I'm sure you've heard of: SAP, Experian, TS14 Plus, Tennis Australia, that sort of thing. So she's really also mentors business owners and marketing teams around the world, help them sort of cut through this clutter that, if you've been listening, that's one of sort of my main goals for helping businesses get better online. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Alita. Hello, Alita. How are you?
Hey Doyle, I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. So tell me a little story about yourself. How did you get into digital? Tell me what you do. Milk It Academy. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks. I think my journey into the digital marketing world started over a decade ago, and it actually it's kind of twofold. One of them, I've got quite a cheeky personality, and I like to use different language techniques and things like that to see what kind of reactions I can get out of people. So it kind of, coincides with this testing and things that we constantly do online, trying to, get better results or get different results. And then the other side of that was, unlike most children and most families, my family encouraged me to pursue my love for the performing arts. I've got a diploma in performing arts. I've worked with some amazing, incredible artists and some great music productions. And I also did a lot of studio arts. I won a lot of prizes, and I was kind of sitting there and, in the last couple of weeks of high school wondering, what on earth am I going to do? I really like nice things, but I don't think that I can afford these nice things that I love being a starving artist. So I thought to myself, this digital thing isn't really going away.
Yeah.
And
this was when was this? When we're like 10 years ago, you said?
Yeah, over 10 years ago
wow.
now. Yeah. Okay. And I thought, this digital thing isn't going away, and I have to find a way to get my art onto a computer.
Yeah. It's not just a fad, is it?
It's not just a fad.
How about that?
My gosh, who would have known? Arguing with some of the best traditional retailers in the world that, it's time to get online.
Yeah.
I will not name them. Everybody should know who I'm talking about.
and they're still around. That's
they're still around.
Yeah.
And finally they have, they've moved into the digital world and they definitely won't be giving that up anytime soon.
Yeah.
So then I figured out, I should probably go and study multimedia or something like that. I learnt how to code. started producing websites, and then I started my own business when I was about 18 years old, and I kind of realized very quickly that I had no idea what I was doing in running a business, and I should probably go and get some real world experience.
Okay. Well, at least you tried, right? Not many people actually go take that first step.
Yeah, exactly. So I went out there, I booked my clients and I did some really great work, but I really had no insights into how things really work, and I had nobody to mentor me. So I packed all that up, and I then went and I'm the kind of person who likes to put on really big shoes and then learn how to fill them.
Like literally or figuratively? Just so we know. What is? Oh, okay.
I don't walk around in clown shoes.
Oh, okay.
Just
checking. Yeah.
And I went and worked for some amazing companies with some incredible mentors, and I just got to a point where I was going above and beyond for my clients, and I was getting letters on a daily basis saying, thank you so much, this is what we're expecting of you and this is what you produced. And I just thought, it's time to stop making millions for other people and start doing it for myself, and really help businesses to identify and teach themselves so that they're not relying on their agencies to be their messiahs of digital. We need to make smart business decisions, and a lot of the time agencies generally don't fulfill that. And I've got some, nightmare stories that go along with that. And the gap in the market was to educate marketers and, stop allowing the agencies to rule the roost, because a lot of the time, they're not.
Well, it's a billing model, right? It's just pure hours billing, and we could talk. We could talk for hours. We could talk for hours on that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, how do you create satisfaction when all you're doing is billing out your time? It's like,
well,
let's just bill more time. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then let's not give them a breakdown so they don't know what we're actually doing.
Yeah. It's like the veil of secrecy.
Yeah, exactly. But it's your business, but
Well, it always blew my mind. Like some of the agencies and that they would, well, not agencies, but the actual clients, they'd spend like a couple $100,000 on advertising, which is not a big deal. But the problem is that once it doesn't work, it's like, oh, well, why doesn't it work?
Or digital doesn't work.
Yeah. Or it's like, well, we'll just throw another 50 to 100 grand on it. Like, well, why not? We're getting paid.
Well, yeah. Or then you get the agencies are going, hey, look at how many impressions we got you. It's like, well, that's great. Did it equal any sales? Nah. Yeah. Oh, well, but we got you 20,000 impressions of this much.
Yeah. We'll just keep trying. Right. Yeah, that's cool. So what kind of, go ahead, finish. I think you're getting closer.
And then I just got to a point really where I just saw this need to, have people call the shots in their businesses for their objectives and their goals, as opposed to, these billings. Yeah. And that's why I think that it's really selfish to hold on to knowledge, and I created my training courses, workshops, and things like that to educate marketers so that, that they're calling, so they're calling the shots and not having to rely on other people to tell them what's great. They know what's great and they can make smart decisions themselves. Yeah,
no, absolutely. That's that education segment that just, people want to know how to do things better. And that's kind of what I found, is that you're kind of under this veil of secrecy that, oh, well, it's digital. You can't possibly learn what you really need to know, so hire the experts. So yeah, no, that's awesome. And how's that developing for you?
It's just going incredibly well. The workshops are so well received, and, we're really creating raving fans out of all of our clients, which is one of the goals that I have for my clients as well, to create raving fans out of their clients. Yeah. My goal is constantly to reduce the budget whilst increasing the profit. And, a lot of people argue, oh, it's impossible, you need to spend more money to get more clients, and you actually don't. And if it's quality over quantity. I don't care how many leads you get. If they're not converting, then they're not the right ones.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We need to find the right points to be bragging on,
And where do you find you brag a lot on? What's working well for you? In other words.
Look, I'm a sucker for email marketing every day of the week. Yeah. But really it's just about this single customer view and having a real and building your marketing and content into being a conversation as opposed to being look at me and you got 20% off when it's not timely or relevant. We just need to, the real goal is to move into a single customer view so we can, go multi-channel and then be more sophisticated than to go cross-channel and do some really beautiful real-time connective marketing.
Yeah.
Humanized marketing, I think. That has really been running over my head for the last couple of weeks.
Oh, okay. So we got a new buzzword in the making, do we?
Hey guys, hashtag human marketing.
All right. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go tweet that right now before you do.
Hashtag retweet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Cool. So in terms of so you do a lot of email marketing. What really kind of gets you riled up every day to say, well, this is kind of what we're going to be doing. This is how I'm going to sort of move things forward.
Oh, that's such a good question. I think it comes back to really that lowering the cost per sale and increasing the profit margins for my clients, just with better, smarter marketing.
Yeah.
And that's really, seeing those results. I got an email from a client today. These are the things that I don't prompt. And we were chasing, not last year, we were chasing 2 years ago targets for this year because 2 years ago was their best year. And we're 30% ahead of where we need to be and 30% ahead of where we were, this time 2 years ago in their most successful year. And just that kind of thing is just such a beautiful thing to receive and just affirms that we're really doing the right thing and we're educating people in the right way and, and we're really, making sure that, our clients have the veil lifted on their opportunities strategically and, with their business in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. And how, is there like, some special steps that you walk them through, or is this just kind of like a thought exercise? Like, I'm curious to know, and perhaps you could share, like, how do you help them how do you help your clients?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, it depends on what they come to us for, whether they've just come to us for a workshop because they want some more education on how they should be targeting and how they should be enhancing their Facebook marketing, or whether they want to enhance their content marketing because, content is buzzword. I just think, guys, content marketing is just marketing. Everything you produce, everything you use in front of a client, it's just content.
I always say content is not king. Content is your muse.
Yeah, right. That's exactly.
Hashtag content is your muse.
Exactly. So, where was I? Oh, yeah. So it depends on what they come for us. But when they step into the 6-month digital business evolution program, which is the program that we run for established businesses, the thing we walk them through, it's a 3-phase program. The first phase is a 2-month phase, and we're just collecting data, seeing where our opportunities are, establishing our, key business numbers like our cost per acquisition, because a lot of businesses are still going, I don't even know what that number is. Mm-hmm. Just finding these things out and then stepping them through, going through every single one of their campaigns that they've previously done or they have currently running, looking at where they're spilling out budget and then transforming that into marketing that has reduced their marketing spend and increased their profits. I mean, just to give you an example, this particular program, one of our clients went through, this is a B2B customer who we don't typically deal with. Typically we're B2C, our customers are B2C, but in this instance, their PPC budget was all wrong. Their keywords were generating traffic but not converting. So we did some deep analysis, had to get some new tracking put on their Google Analytics because, it wasn't set up properly. Again, that was the agency who set that up for them and charged them a mint for it and didn't do it properly. Got things tracking properly, then understood what was actually returning for them, what wasn't, cleaned out their budget, reduced their budget by nearly 400%, and we returned $12 million from reducing the budget by that much.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, so we just really, get the foundations right.
Yeah.
Optimize.
Okay. So number 1, get the foundation right. Number 2, optimize. And number 3, optimize.
Yeah, that's it.
and repeat.
And repeat. That's it.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of articles at the moment, people trying to disrupt things and saying, hey, you shouldn't be doing A/B testing anymore. And I'm like, what? So we're going to ignore all our data and go back to our gut feel? Good on you guys. What?
Yeah, no, that actually brings up a point. I was looking at some of your content, and you're sort of not focusing, or you want to focus a lot on the data, but also combine it with that sort of marketing side as well. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, this is actually kind of going on a question that somebody asked me at the e-commerce conference. And how do we actually get more out of our marketing content? Nobody can see me, but I'm doing the little finger talking marks and around the word content.
Yeah.
And
I do that all the time.
Yeah, so it's really about it really is about having a look at the data, analyzing that, seeing where our opportunities are, and then building that into beautiful creative that speaks volumes, that are branded properly, so that we really create this human connection from our data into our marketing, and we're speaking the language of our clients, and we're constantly talking to them how they want to be spoken to, and presenting that in a beautiful, visual, engaging way. And I constantly talk about the 3 E's of content being empowerment, education, and entertaining. And I think that if you use the data and plug those things together, you can really build a beautiful connection with your customers and create these raving fans and have people sharing your content and, being your referral marketers for you for free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that sounds brilliant. What do you recommend? Like obviously we got to start with data. So how do you start to paint the picture for the clients or for the business with the data? Like, what should people be looking at? Is it just Google Analytics? And if it is, how you don't have to go too deep, but I'm just kind of curious, like how do you start building this picture? With what kind of data do you use?
This is going to sound like a really crappy answer, okay? But it's not.
Okay.
It's really, so it all depends on our customers' goals. So it depends on your goals.
Yeah.
If you want to enhance your Facebook, look at your Facebook insights, and also look at your Google Analytics, and push those two together. You can actually use your Google Analytics, and we use it a lot to create our target segments on Facebook. There's no point in us going, oh yeah, this is kind of what's happening on Facebook, this is what's happening on our website. If we know what's happening on our website, take that information and pull it into Facebook, compiled with the information that your Facebook users are sharing. So if Facebook's your area that you want to improve, they're the 2 data sets that I would look at. If, until you go in and look at more sophisticated platforms like, your short stacks of the world, so that you can get some information on, how people are engaging and tracking engagement and rewarding on engagement and things like that. But then if your goal is to provide a better mobile experience, for example, if you're experiencing a lot of traffic but they're not converting on your mobile, there's a problem there. So then let's just dive deep in and have a look at Google Analytics again, and dive deep and have a look at, how people are behaving and performing on your mobile, and tailor the experience to that. I think that this is something that people often get confused. When you have a responsive website, it doesn't have to act and perform exactly like your desktop should, and that's not the purpose of it. And I think that's a real disconnection that people have, is that we need to enhance the mobile experience to meet, our, what we could refer to as our on-the-go users.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And then, so it really just depends on, it depends on what your goal is really, as to where you should be looking. But generally speaking, more often than not, Google Analytics is a real source of truth as to where I'm going to look for my data, provided it's set up properly. And then, of course, if you're looking at email marketing, there will be things that I will be looking at, in the email marketing platform. There are some platforms that are more sophisticated than others and do give you more rich data, and then connecting that to your Google Analytics as well. it depends on your goals.
If somebody's new to the area, or new to sort of the message, where would you tell them to start as well? Like, just go set up a Google Analytics? What kind of, or like you did mention, like if you want to go to Facebook type thing, but what should they be looking for? Go ahead.
My first port of call is always Google Analytics. More often than not, Google Analytics isn't, and even some of the most sophisticated businesses. There was a massive retailer that I met with recently and started asking them for information around their conversion rates and e-commerce tracking and things in their Google Analytics. And their digital manager said, "I don't think we have that set up. Can Google do that?" So it doesn't matter. I think the first port of call is always into Google Analytics. You have, and then.
But it's too confusing, Alita.
Is it?
Well, that's what everybody says. It's like they set it up, but then it's like, I don't know what to do. What the heck am I supposed to do with this thing?
Yeah, exactly. It happens all the time. So then you hire us and we'll teach you how to look at the data. But I think one of the things that people need to focus on, again, it goes back to these goals and setting up your Google Analytics dashboards to meet this, as marketers, and especially, a marketing director or marketing manager level, often, our time is taken up often with dealing with people as opposed to dealing with the marketing. So if you can get a quick snapshot and set up your dashboard in a way that speaks to you in the information that you really need on a quick basis, then start there. But I recommend to absolutely everybody, go and get your Google Analytics audited, because it makes it a lot easier for people like myself and you, Doyle, to go in and start really analysing and seeing where your opportunities are. If it's not set up, then we need to get that set up, and then it's kind of 2 months down the track. It's another 8 weeks until we have data that we can really play with and start to make optimization, implementations. So go get your Google Analytics audited and get yourself educated on it as well. I think it's really important. It's a source of truth for your customers. That, coupled with your CRM, you're on a track for success.
Yeah, I like that. It's a source of truth, right? And unless you have it set up properly and running, it's not going. You'll just kind of wander, and I find that's sort of what happens a lot. Is that the businesses just kind of wander? They wander from one place to another. This person says that, the other person says this, and they hire a guru here and an expert there, and it's like, well, no, just let's learn about what it is that's important, and then we can continue with that. So
yeah, and I think that I was, just in my experience, especially over the last 2 years, it's becoming more and more important for, the managing director and CEOs to become more educated on digital, because this thing, like my prediction 12 years ago or so, this digital thing isn't going away, and it is.
No, it's just a fad.
Yeah, okay. I saw somebody the other day say in 2015, e-commerce will just become commerce.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, it absolutely will. And this is why I think that CEOs, managing directors really need to get their head around it, even if it's on a basic sense. Like, yeah, their purpose is to be looking after the business and things like that. But if you want to grow your business, online is the place to do that. Even if it feeds into an offline sales process, we can track and analyze through CRMs, making sure that we're getting the right leads and we're producing, the right outcome. So, which is a conversion, which is a sale.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and I'm really having a big push for CEOs and MDs to get themselves educated on this.
Okay. That's fantastic. Yeah. So speaking of CEOs, actually, while you were talking there, Alita, I was talking with the CEO of Google. I can't remember his name, but he says, look, this Alita Harvey-Rodriguez, she's really cool. I want her to be the CEO of Google.
Okay, I guess so.
What is the first thing that you would do here? You start tomorrow, by the way. So
I start tomorrow. What's the first thing? That is such a good question. What's the first thing I would do? I think Oh, I think I'd survey their customers and survey their staff.
Yeah.
And make changes driven by data.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, Google really is, it's a data warehouse, right? That's what they have. They've just got just a tremendous amount of data, and it's
biggest database in the world.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Smartest database in the world.
Yeah. So how does it get smarter then?
I'm going to ask their customers that, and I'm going to ask their staff that, and then I'll make my decisions.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, cool. So tell me quickly about, well, I love the name, Milk It Academy. Tell me about where that came from. Like what spurred you to that? Is it lactose intolerant people you didn't like, or what was it?
Yeah, it was really about this whole lactose free craze.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, so I mean the business name came around. It's so funny. It sounds like I was in the middle of the desert. I was literally in the middle of the desert.
Out in the outback, or
out in the outback. I was in the middle of Australia, and I'm a keen photographer, and I really love landscape photography. And I was there with an incredible, talented photographer called Mark Gray, and we'd packed up for the evening, and we were getting ready to go out to Uluru the next morning at sunrise. And I was just sitting there and I'm looking at the stars and I'm just wondering, and I just kind of started thinking, what am I really doing? What am I really, really doing here? I'm teaching people how to milk it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Voila.
Let's get down to business.
Let's get down to business. Yeah. And so many people just say, they've got their own reasons, the lactose intolerant, of course, and then the obvious pun, which is my name, Alita, a liter of milk.
Ah, okay, cool.
But that's not the truth. It's
oh, I don't know. That sounds like the truth. That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So milk it for what it's worth. That's what I'm doing, showing people how to milk it for what it's worth.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fantastic. And what sort of is your specialty then with your business?
My area of expertise is in retail and e-commerce. So I love working towards finding this, single customer view. I love working, with the quick opportunities, which obviously lie within the email marketing database, and then building out from there to get my customers to being a sophisticated, data-driven marketer who are able to make smart decisions about what they're going to do next. We're no longer in a day and age where, going with our gut feel is justified, and you can end up wasting a lot of money on it. And at the end of the day, your answers are always in your data. So my area of expertise is helping my customers to become data-driven, sophisticated marketers who are working towards becoming very sophisticated in the cross-channel space by creating a single customer view. Okay,
excellent. And you do that through obviously client engagements, but also through training, I understand, as well.
Yeah,
is that the specifics of the academy?
Yeah, we've got group training programs. We've got an online training program designed specifically for small businesses who need constant mentoring, but don't have the budget to pay somebody like me to come in on a regular basis. But still need that constant mentoring because they want to push their business forward, but don't have the time to figure it out for themselves. And then, so we've got the group training workshops, we've got the online group training community, and then we have, and then I've got in-house training programs that go for 12 weeks or 6 months, and then we've also got in-house training workshops as well.
Oh, excellent. Wow, you got quite the breadth of products then. And you're focused on business to consumer mostly? Business to consumer companies, right? Yeah, most definitely. It's an area that a lot of people find challenging to get cut through in, just because it's such a commoditized kind of area. But
for me, it all just makes sense, and we can get more data from our consumers than you can working B2B. It's just a fast pace, more challenging environment, I think, and that's what I really like about it.
Excellent. And do you find you have a special niche that you enjoy working with more than others?
Yeah, I love working with retailers, because we can, position things as being so, aspirational, and we can sell without having to sell, which I think is really nice. And so I really, really love working with retailers, and my retail clients are most definitely the ones I look forward to working with most.
Oh, excellent. Cool. So I need to know, though, you're a very positive person. Is that correct?
Some would say, yes.
Okay. Is the glass half full or half empty? Which one?
It's a great question. Or is that not a question?
No, well, it was a lead-in question, so you have to answer that one now. Half full or half empty?
The glass, I don't know.
What?
I don't know, you're looking at it. No, the glass is always half full.
No, the glass is always here. The glass is always full, because whatever's not filled with the liquid is filled with air. Anyway.
Oh, see, I knew that was the answer.
That was a trick question. Anyways, I wanted to ask you, a lot of stuff is quite frustrating, and I know you talked about some of the issues previously, but what makes you kind of angry about online and the industry, and how would you make it better? Or how are you making it better?
Well, I'm working just like you are to make it better and lift the veil on ignorance. And I don't use that word in a bad way at all. Everybody. Somebody said to me today, if you're the smartest man in the room, you should be in another room.
Yeah. And man or woman, just
if you're the smartest person in the room.
Person in the room, yeah.
You should be in another room. So, and that's how I use the word ignorance. We constantly need to be looking for the areas in which we're ignorant in, so that we can inform ourselves and empower ourselves to do things better. So the thing that really makes me mad about this industry is agencies relying on the fact that lack of education is their power. And that's why I do what I do to inform people and educate and empower them to for them, like I said in the beginning, for them to call the shots and not be left in the dark, with, we got these great impressions for you. You know?
Exactly. Hashtag death to industry. Or death to agencies, rather.
Death to agency. And then, there's the other side of things that, I can't remember where I was going with this, but there was somewhere.
Yeah, that's okay. Grr, angry, hashtag. I mean, look, the agencies themselves, we have mentioned that, but it is about using that ignorance. And sadly, a lot of people have just sort of taken that for granted, that they're kind of led down the golden trail or whatever, type thing, and that they're going to help them out. But at the end of the day, they don't really care about anybody other than, how many hours can we bill, this sort of thing. It is a business, but at the same time, you have to create a business that really adds value to people. Otherwise, the model will eventually cease to exist. I mean, could take some time, but.
Yeah, I think, I think reducing reliance on agencies is something that a lot of businesses should be working towards, so that they can make, smart business decisions.
Yeah.
And it's got to change. And I think that there's no credibility in operating in that kind of, I can hear agencies going, but that's not what we do. But I've experienced it time and time again. And it becomes like this sleazy salesman. I mean, one of my clients was working with an agency, and when I looked at the bill and I went, this is ridiculous, and I'm looking at the sales figures and I'm like, nah, this is not happening. And this was in the first discovery phase of working with this client. And I said, all right, first things first, I want you to go back to your client or your agency, and I would like you to ask them to itemize absolutely every billing hour and give us averages on what they would bill for this if it was singular projects, blah, 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 this, that, the other. The agency came back and said this: we're going to charge you for breaking down our invoice.
You're kidding.
Right? Oh no, I was just gobsmacked.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they were spending so much money on display marketing. It wasn't even remarketing, and they were talking about they were just bragging about all the wrong things, and the clients were getting really excited, and I was just kind of looking at it going, you guys haven't generated a sale from this immense amount of money that you've just spent on the display network. How is this okay with you guys? And the answer was, well, we didn't know better. Yeah,
true. You kind of get lulled into that. So, yeah, some of the delusions of online.
Haha, love it.
All right, cool. Well, so I'm going to wrap up shortly, though. But just sort of in closing, Alita, what would you recommend people do, or, what kind of next steps would you suggest somebody sort of listening in and understanding what you do can make a difference with their business online? And it doesn't have to be profound. It can be really practical, pragmatic, whatever.
Practical is, I'm a practical person. So, and I'm very linear. So this is what I would do. And this is what I do with my clients, okay? I would get if you don't know what your Google Analytics are doing and you don't know what the opportunities are in there, I would go and get Google Analytics audited. Second thing I would do is I would set a bunch of goals in where I want to improve my business, my sales or my user experience, and then I would analyze those specific goals within my Google Analytics and see how I can do it better. And then I would use that contextual data to build a more humanized marketing strategy.
Excellent.
That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, very powerful. Cool. And then there'll be gazillionaires after that, right?
And then it'll be millionaires.
Millionaires.
Move over Mark Zuckerberg. We're coming for you.
Yeah, exactly. He's the man. Yeah, cool. Excellent. Well, I really want to thank you, Alita, for helping me with this podcast. I really appreciate your time. So, and thank you again to the listeners to my podcast, Breaking Digital, the podcast for smart entrepreneurs who wanted to become true digital leaders, which we've talked about today, and to own it online. So again, thank you, Alita Harvey-Rodriguez. I really appreciate your time. She's doing some amazing things online with her business. What is it? milkit.com.au.
Yep.
Fantastic insights in terms of what you can be doing different with your data, what you can be doing different with even just the thought process. So some fantastic insights. I really appreciate that. So if you have any comments on the program, please feel free to connect on Twitter at Doyle Buehler with the hashtag OwnOnline, or send me an email, doyle@thedigitaldelusion.com. That's quite the mouthful. My mobile is country code 61413106880, or make it easier on yourself and just Google Doyle Buehler. And I'm really personally amazed at what always comes up. So just try it. You'll like it. I'd really appreciate it if you could share this podcast with your network, as I'm sure they will get some value from it. We learned a lot of things from Alita today on building your successful business online. And don't forget, you can find the resources that we talked about, as well as the transcript and full podcast for download on thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. All right. Thank you very much. I'm Doyle Buehler, and I will see you online.
Thank you for listening to Breaking Digital with Doyle Buehler. While he goes and makes a sandwich, you can find all of the notes, links, and details on this podcast by visiting thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. Go on and click that now. www.thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. I'll definitely click that. If you'd like a free copy of the book, The Digital Delusion, How to Overcome the Misguidance and Misinformation Online, just send an email to doyle@thedigitaldelusion.com. See you online.